Have you ever been listening to a song, and just as the singer hits that one perfect, soaring note, you feel a sudden tingling in your arms? You look down and notice tiny bumps have appeared all over your skin, and the fine hairs are standing straight up. Or perhaps you were watching a horror movie, the music growing tense, the character slowly opening a creaking door, and the same thing happened. That's a strange, almost magical reaction is something we all know as goosebumps. It is such a common human experience that we rarely stop to ask the simple question, why? Why does our skin react to a beautiful melody or a terrifying shadow in the exact same way? The name itself is quite strange and old. We call them goosebumps because the bumpy texture of our skin resembles that of a goose or a chicken after its feathers have been plucked. It is vivid, if somewhat unflattering, comparison. But this reaction is not just a random quirk of our bodies. It is a physical echo of our deep evolutionary past, a direct line connecting us to our furry ancestors and even to the birds in our backyards. Every time you get goosebumps, your body is performing an ancient biological ritual that it has been perfecting for millions of years. Yet it is now being triggered by something as modern as a pop song or a motivational speech. At its core, a goosebump is an involuntary reflex. This means you cannot control it, just like you cannot control your heartbeat or the dilation of your pupils. It is controlled by the autonomic nervous system, the part of your brain that runs all the automatic processes keeping you alive. The specific branch responsible is the sympathetic nervous system, which is infamously known for triggering the fight-or-flight response. So, when you get goosebumps from a sudden cold breeze, your body is actually preparing for a physical survival situation in a very primitive way. Understanding this reflex is like being a detective, tracing a single clue on your skin back to a time when our ancestors lived in a much wilder and more dangerous world. To truly understand goosebumps, we need to travel back in time, long before smartphones and skyscrapers, to an era when our early human ancestors and their evolutionary cousins faced daily threats from predators and the elements. The reflex we feel as goosebumps was not a useless object back then. It was a sophisticated and potentially life-saving survival tool. The primary purpose of this mechanism was to help the animal stay warm and appear larger to enemies. It is a brilliant two-for-one deal that evolution designed, and its signature is still written all over our skin. Let us first explore the function of staying warm. Our ancient ancestors, covered in a thick coat of fur, relied on this reflex for insulation. The reaction begins with a tiny, almost invisible muscle at the base of every single hair follicle. This muscle is called the erector pili. When the sympathetic nervous system is activated by cold, it sends a signal to millions of these microscopic muscles all over the body, commanding them to contract simultaneously. The result is that the hair shafts, which normally lie flat and relaxed, are yanked into a rigid, upright position. For a free animal, this action is incredibly effective for thermoregulation. When a thick coat of fur is pulled upright by these muscles, it creates a lofting effect. This essentially traps a layer of air between the erect hairs and the skin. Air is a fantastic insulator. This trapped pocket of still air is warmed by the body's natural heat, creating a thermal buffer zone that reduces heat loss and helps the animal stay warm in chilly conditions. You can see this exact principle in action on a cold day when a cat or a dog's fur puffs out. They look a bit bigger and fluffier, but they are actually just activating their built-in insulation system. For a modern human, who has lost most of our body hair, this is utterly futile. We simply get a field of tiny bumps on relatively bare skin, which does nothing to trap heat. It's a ghost of a once functional system. The second reason for this fascinating reflex is one of intimidation and defense, a tactic to make an animal seem more formidable than it really is in the face of danger. Imagine a classic standoff in the wild. A small, vulnerable creature comes face to face with a hungry predator. In this moment of sheer terror, The sympathetic nervous system instantly floods the body with adrenaline, triggering a cascade of fight or flight responses. One of the most immediate and visible of these is, once again, the contraction of the erector pili muscles, which cause the animal's fur to stand completely on end, a phenomenon called piloerection. The purpose of this sudden, dramatic transformation is purely psychological. By puffing up its entire coat, the animal makes its silhouette appear significantly larger and more intimidating. A puffed-up cat arching its back at a dog is a perfect, everyday example of this. The cat is trying to send a clear, urgent message. I am bigger and scarier than you think, so you better back off. This bluff can give the prey animal a critical split-second advantage, potentially startling the predator long enough to escape. The porcupine takes this to an extreme, erecting not just fur, but sharp, dangerous quills as a powerful warning. This defensive display connects directly to the common expression of being scared stiff, or feeling the hair stand up on the back of your neck during a truly frightening moment. For us, this is a purely vestigial response, a ghost of a defense mechanism. We have very little body hair, so to look bigger is laughably ineffective. A human with goosebumps does not intimidate anyone, yet the neural pathway still fires perfectly. Whether you are watching a horror film, feeling threatened, or experiencing a moment of intense social anxiety, your brain is still processing that emotion as a threat, and your skin fatally performs its ancient duty, trying to make the human animal look large and dangerous, even if the result is just a few tiny bumps on a primate that has long since traded for speech. Now that we know the ancient biological purposes of goosebumps, let us zoom in and look at the intricate electrical wiring inside your body that makes this reflex happen instantly, and without a silting conscious thought. This is a story about the amazing communication network that is your nervous system. The trick for a goosebump can be a drop in temperature or a sudden surge of emotion, but the final command center and the pathway it uses are a masterpiece of biological engineering, connecting a primitive part of your brain to a microscopic muscle in your skin. The process starts with the stimulus. If it is cold, thermoreceptors in your skin send a danger signal about heat loss. If it is emotional, like fear from a scary movie, your brain's threat assessment center, the amygdala, sends out a red alert. In both cases, this signal is routed to a master control switch deep in the brainstem called the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is a tiny but mighty structure that acts as the body's thermostat and a central hub for the autonomic nervous system. It does not debate or consider the signal, it just reacts. It activates the sympathetic nervous system, which is a vast, branching network of nerves that spreads from your spinal cord to virtually every organ, blood vessel, and, crucially, the erector pili muscle in your skin. This nerve signal is chemical and electrical, traveling at immense speed along a specific pathway. The sympathetic nerves use a neurotransmitter called norepinephrine as their chemical messenger. When the nerve ending releases norepinephrine into the gap at the junction with the erector pili muscle, it binds to specific receptors on muscle cells. This binding is like a key turning a lock, causing the minute muscle to contract. The contraction of this muscle, which is attached to the hair follicle on one side and the upper layer of the dermis on the other, is what pulls the hair upright and creates the dimpled bump we see. The entire journey, from your brain perceiving a cold draft or a scary image to the skin on your arm puckering, happens in a fraction of a second. It is a silent, lightning-fast conversation between your brain and your skin, powered by a chemistry perfected over millennia. While goosebumps are a very specific, localized event on the skin, they are often not a solo act. Frequently, the experience is accompanied by a more dramatic internal sensation that we know as a shiver, a shudder, or a chill running down the spine. This is not a coincidence. The shiver and the goosebump are partners in a physiological symphony, both conducted by the same sympathetic nervous system in response to the same stimuli, whether it be a freezing wind or a profound artistic experience. They are two different instruments playing the same ancient survival tune. From a cold perspective, this partnership makes perfect, practical sense. As we discussed, the power erection reflex in furry animals traps a layer of insulating air. But this passive measure is often not enough. The body needs to actively generate more heat, and it does this through shivering. The hypothalamus, after triggering the erector pili muscles, gives the order for skeletal muscles all over the body to begin rapidly, involuntarily contracting and relaxing. This muscle activity is thermogenesis, the creation of heat. So, the animal is simultaneously putting on a thicker coat, piloerection, and turning on its internal furnace, shivering, a brilliantly coordinated strategy against the cold, which in humans is just an empty puffed-up coat paired with a working furnace. The truly fascinating connection, however, is when goosebumps and aesthetic chills occur together in an emotional context, not a thermal one. When you hear a piece of music that moves you profoundly, your brain's emotional and reward centers light up, but the pathway still intersects with the ancient alert system in the hypothalamus. The signal splits on a two-pronged path. One prong leads to the erector pili muscle in your skin, causing the goosebumps. The other prong activates the motor systems for shivering, but often in a milder, more rhythmic pattern that feels like a wave of chills or thrills down your spine. This emotional shiver is a testament to the brain's habit of repurposing old systems. The powerful mental state of being deeply moved gets routed through the primal physiological machinery of cold and fear, giving you that complex, tingly, shuddering sensation that tells you an experience has touched you on a fundamental level. Now we arrive at the most mysterious and genius aspect of Goosebumps, the emotional trigger. Why would a sequence of musical notes, a painting that captures a perfect moment of sorrow, a powerful speech, or a scene in a movie where the hero finally triumphs cause a physical reaction that evolved for keeping warm and scaring off predators? This is where the reflex leaves the simple world of survival and enters the rich, complex landscape of human emotion. The link between our feelings and our skin is profound, and goosebumps are a visible signal of a peak emotional state. Scientists who study music and the brain call emotional goosebumps frisson, a French word for shiver of excitement. Research shows that frisson is strongly connected to moments of unexpected change in a piece of music, a sudden shift in volume, the entry of a new instrument, a harmonic surprise, or a vocalist reaching for a particularly expressive note. Your brain is constantly making predictions about what will happen next in a song, based on your lifetime of listening experience. When the artist does something brilliant that subverts that expectation in a pleasing way, your brain's prediction error centers fire intensely. This intellectual surprise is interpreted by the more primitive, emotional centers as an event of profound significance, and the ancient alert system is engaged. This engagement unleashes a cocktail of powerful neurochemicals. Dopamine, the reward and motivation molecule, floods your system, creating intense feelings of pleasure and anticipation. Simultaneously, the emotional intensity can be interpreted by the amygdala as a powerful but not threatening event, triggering the sympathetic nervous system. This is the bridge between abstract emotion and physical response. A thrilling movie scene works the same way. The suspense, the final victory of the hero, the cathartic resolution, these are all intense emotional peaks that arouse your entire nervous system. The goosebumps, in this context, are a badge of peak emotional communion. They are your body's way of saying, pay attention. This moment matters. You are being deeply moved by something meaningful. As we have journeyed through the science of survival, neural pathways, and emotional chills, a clear picture emerges. Goosebumps on a human are a classic example of a vestigial reflex. The word vestigial comes from the Latin word for footprint, and it describes a structure or a function in an organism that has lost all or most of its original purpose through the course of evolution. The human body is a museum of these evolutionary echoes. Our appendix, once a large organ for digesting tough plant matter, is now a tiny, often problematic pouch. Our wisdom teeth are vestiges of a jaw that used to be much larger. And the goosebump is a vestigial reflex performance. It is a footprint of a furrier past. Our hominin ancestors needed a thick, insulating, and intimidatory coat. A functional piloerection reflex was as vital as a sharp set of teeth or acute vision. But the story of human evolution is a story of shedding. The leading theory is that we lost our thick fur as we evolved as persistent hunters on the hot African savanna. To run long distances without overheating, our ancestors needed a highly efficient cooling system, and millions of sweat glands covering a relatively bare skin surface provided exactly that. By losing fur, we gained the ability to cool down through the evaporation of sweat, a trade-off that made us exceptional long-distance runners. In this great evolutionary trade, the erector pili muscles were left behind, tiny and forlorn, contracting on a surface that no longer has a thick coat to animate. The neurological highway from the brain to these muscles, however, was never demolished. It remains perfectly intact, a superhighway built for a traffic of fur that no longer exists. So now, when that neural traffic flows, triggered by a cold draft or a soaring aria, the signal reaches its destination faithfully. But the physical result is a non-functional phantom action. The attempt to make a thermal air pocket is a field of naked bumps. The attempt to look big and scary is a mild skin tremor. It is a beautiful, physical reminder that we carry the history of our ancestors not just in our DNA, but in the very reflexes of our skin. So, the next time you feel that familiar, tingling wave of goosebumps wash over you, whether from a cold wind or a breathtaking song, take a moment to appreciate it for what it truly is. That instant of tiny bumps on your skin is not an empty biological glitch. It is a story. It is a direct, physical narrative of your deep evolutionary journey. A tangible link connects you to the shivering mouse hiding in the undergrowth, to the puffed-up cat defending its territory, to a long line of human ancestors huddled against a Pleistocene winter, their thick fur stand on end. Your skin is a living diary of the past. The momentary puckering of your flesh is your body writing a message in a language older than words, a language of survival, fear, and deep feeling. When you hear a beautiful piece of music that makes the hair on your arms stand up, your ancient self is listening to, responding with vocabulary that it understands. A rush of dopamine, a shiver of fight or flight energy, and a phantom puffing of fur coat you no longer possess. The reflex has been repurposed. What once signaled a physical threat now signals a moment of peak human experience, a connection to art and emotion that is so powerful it triggers our most fundamental biological software. It is a physical manifestation of being truly alive and aware. The children's profound idea, a moment of human connection, or a breathtaking view of nature are all processed through this same ancient channel. You are a modern human with a Stone Age body, and goosebumps are a beautiful, harmless, and deeply significant bridge between those two worlds. So do not just rub them away. Let them be a moment of wonder. You are not just feeling the music or the cold. You are feeling millions of years of history rising on your skin, a silent, visible echo of the wild animal we once were, and, in some tiny, fascinating way, still are.